There's a lot of Ron Paul fans typing in. Brandon says, why did the Republican Party alienate Ron Paul? And Will in New York says, they dislike social views. If Republicans want to be part of the future, they need to drop some of the older social views. What about that, AB? I mean, is the libertarian wing of the party going to fight for the middle of the party?
Well, on some issues they are, and on other issues they're going to say that any debt deal that Boehner strikes with Obama is not deep enough. The spending cuts don't go far enough. Rand Paul will let us hear about his budget and how it's different from the House Republicans and, you know, the wimpy Senate Republican budget and everything. This is always a tension, and because the party's been leaderless since Bush, cleansed by the Tea Party, which is leaderless, and just lost this election and really rubbed raw by this, there is going to be, you know, a real time in the wilderness, and the Ron Paul supporters will make their voices heard, and it'll be very tough. Even this is, you know, just segueing to a different topic here, but well, under the umbrella.
Ron Paul first, because I'm not a fan of Ron Paul, or particularly of Rand Paul, but I do think analytically, Rand Paul could be a formidable presence in the Republican Party in the next 3 or 4 years. He wants to run for president, and he's a much more respectable candidate and plausible candidate than Ron Paul, who ultimately was always a protest candidate. And I would not bet against Rand Paul. We're sitting here 3 years from now that Rand Paul is in the top tier of presidential candidates. That message of his, which could combine a sort of Tea Party populism with a sharp attack on government, but with some sort of backing away on the social issues to appeal to some younger voters. It's not my cup of tea, but I just think people are when we all say Rubio, Ryan, Christie, you know, Jindal, the obvious front runners for 2016, we should not forget Rand Paul.
Even in your differing views on foreign policy.
And I think on foreign policy, again, I'm not going to like it, but will there be a market in the Republican Party in 2013 for the proposition that Barack Obama doesn't want to win in Afghanistan anyway, so let's just get out? What's the point of a slow motion defeat? Which is what Rand Paul is going to stand up in the Senate and say, and I expect him to offer legislation and amendments to get out of Afghanistan faster than Barack Obama. And I don't think that's responsible, but I don't know. Will he take a fair number of Republican senators and House members with him? He might.
And don't forget, he represents, to the extent there is a youth vote in the Republican Party, it's a libertarian Rand or Ron Paul youth vote.
That's interesting. I mean, if you're going to expand the youth vote, I mean, I went to a lot of those rallies all over the place, and there were a lot of young people there.
And that is true. I mean, there is an argument as the party looks to sort of rehabilitate itself and try to open up the tent to younger people. You know, they don't see color the way, you know, their elders do. They don't see homosexuality the way their elders do. They don't see
social issues,
and they don't see social issues. They also are not fond of occupying war, and they are in support of the old Republican way of less foreign entanglement. So it is really incumbent upon the party to try to reach out to them. The Paul libertarian strain is a difficult one. It's one of the many challenges that they're going to have to buckle down on immediately, because in licking their wounds and trying to move forward, what the Republicans I spoke with today are trying to focus on is, let's take the Senate back in 14. It's a gimme. Let's consolidate our majority in the House. Let's not let this fiscal cliff thing blow up and last 11 months, and we have to spend another 6 months explaining it. Let's get it off the table. Let's move on so we can win again. And that's one of picking these candidates is a challenge.
And the Democrats